Hello and welcome to the POA Community Safety First webinar on slip, trips, and falls. Today we'll be covering some objectives. First, we'll explain the significance of slips, trips, and falls. We're going to identify causes and contributing factors that lead to slip, trip, and fall accidents, apply a process for the prevention of slip, trips, and falls, and then implement appropriate corrective action to make sure that slip, trips, and falls do not occur on a frequent basis. Let's look at the United States, and let's see the percentage of real growth of accidents caused by slip, trips, and falls. On the highest area, you have fall from the same level. This means people are slipping and tripping and falling just over their own feet or over obstructions in the general area. This could be a sidewalk, not falling down steps, of course, but it's at the same level. You have fall on a lower level, and then struck by an object. These are the largest growing areas of slip, trips, and falls. At the same time, we've also generally diminished some, such as struck against an object, highway incidents, and repetitive motion. In 2015, slip, trips, and falls accounted for 86% of our claims. The rest were assaults and batteries, struck-bys, playground pools, and others. So we really need to focus on slip, trips, and falls, and how do we prevent these? So important to make sure that we're always looking out for hazards that can cause slip, trips, and falls. So let's look at a number of different causes for slip, trips, and falls. There's tribology, which we'll explain in the next slide. Age and vision, which is kind of the difficulty of older residents that we may have that have difficulty seeing or difficulty sensing areas where they may slip or fall. You have biomechanics, which is kind of the way that someone may walk or perhaps a disability. Then you have psychology, the perception of slipperiness. Probably have many residents that really may think that a surface is slippery, or many of our coworkers may think the surface is slippery, and so therefore they feel they're in more danger. So tribology is the study of the interaction of sliding surfaces. And this includes three subjects. It includes friction, lubrication, and wear. Amongst these tripping hazards that we can identify at our properties, these are changes less than 1/4 inch in height, maybe without an edge treatment. There are also changes 1/4 inch to a 1/2 inch in height that are beveled with slope no greater than a 1 to 2 rise run. These are very small trip hazards that are very easily unnoticeable. And then, of course, there's a greater than a 1/2 inch, like a ramp or a stairway, that's also a trip hazard. But trip hazards are often very unnoticeable. You may just walk over them every day. But making sure you're taking the time to look for them is really important. According to U.S. Access Board research, safety yellow is a color even the aged eye can perceive, and is why the Americans with Disabilities Act Accessibility Designer Guide requires handicap entrances to be colored in safety yellow. Not many people will give you guidelines on where to use safety yellow, but in fact, there are many ways that you can use this to indicate where there are slip, trips, and fall hazards. Safety yellow can be used all over your property, and it can be used in some of these examples where these edges or these curbs come up. These are necessary edges, and we really need to make sure that people are aware of those slip, trips, and fall hazards, and yellow is a great way to indicate that. Parking lots and sidewalks are also areas in which you can have some difficulty with keeping your footing. Examples here are trip hazards and one-step elevations that represent significant hazards. Can you see any here that could be present at your property? As mentioned previously, one-step elevations like the sidewalk curb to parking area example and the building entrance example should be remodeled into a ramp entrance following guidelines. In the picture above in the top left, the parking stoppers could go unforeseen. On the bottom left, this restaurant colored the parking stoppers safety yellow to improve their visual detection. Top right picture shows parking lot defects that need repair and could cause a slip, trip, and fall hazard. Well, we can't go around painting all hazards safety yellow, It'll be up to you to prioritize those that really need to be addressed in the immediacy and those that can be alerted by safety yellow. You need to make sure you know which ones are larger threats and which ones can be diminished by a simple paint or cone. So let's look at some examples. Take a look at this picture. What do you see wrong with it? A good sidewalk ramp in front of you. When you get to the other side, the pedestrian needs to overcome a curb elevation to enter the building. This is an example of poor design. Designers should really pre-plan pedestrian travel for parking areas into your building and remove any and all obstacles in the way, like unnecessary elevations. This example should have a sidewalk ramp, especially for handicap access. And check out this picture. What do you see? Here we have parking areas and pedestrians overcoming a curb on both sides to enter the building. The stones are also uneven, which could cause additional tripping hazards. This also brings to mind areas where residents or guests might walk to take shortcuts that are not designated paths. Watching where people walk most frequently can tell you what routes they take and which additional hazards they may come upon when they're walking in areas that they may not supposed to. Now really take a look at this picture for a moment. Here we have raised elevations from parking areas to a wood walkway to a store entrance. Notice the building owner chose the color red to warn people. Unfortunately, red is not visually detectable for those with color blindness or red color deficiency, and does not provide sufficient color or brightness in a contrast against the wood. Notice the gutter downspout drainage right over the railroad tie that provides an interesting obstacle on wet, snowy days. This whole design was completely redone, and all trip hazards were removed. Falls from stairs occur largely because of stair defects, debris or liquid on the steps. Many of these hazards can be controlled. If the stairs are free of the mentioned defects and they are kept in clean, dry condition, they are easily managed. Make sure to inspect your stairwells on a regular basis. Keeping them clean can prevent a dangerous and perhaps even deadly accident. It's also important to understand how falls occur on stairways. They're sometimes called stumbles, but are known best as missteps. The three types of missteps include an understep, when the heel strikes the riser on descent, an overstep, when the ball of the foot rolls off the tread nosing, which is depicted here, and an air step, when the pedestrian misses the tread altogether. Many reasons why these missteps can occur, with some due to stair design, and some due to pedestrians running down stairs or carrying items. Either way, the handrail is the only thing separating the pedestrian from certain injury, or worse yet, the threat of not being taken seriously about stairs. A handrail is not useful if it cannot be gripped, and the mentions here offer good guidance. Decorative handrails, like the examples with the X, are not recommended, but yet we see them all the time in our buildings. If you need to replace or add handrails, please use a style more conducive to better grip effect, like the ones indicated here. Notice the way this man is holding the railing on the right. It looks really awkward and strange, but your grip is actually stronger when in this position. And if you do happen to slip, trip, or fall, you will most likely fall into the rail and have a chance to grab the bar rather than falling down the stairs. This technique, though strange looking, could save you from tumbling down the stairs. And it's especially useful when carrying packages, and you could have only one hand free to use the rail. I urge you, especially those at senior properties, to share this technique with your residents who may have fear of falling down the stairs. It's a great opportunity to teach residents, and it's really helpful in a scenario where a resident may be fearful of falling. As you can see here, not all flooring is created equal, and some products perform differently in terms of slipperiness. If you have a floor that you expect to be exposed to wet conditions, like at entrances or in manufacturing operations where water or contaminants are present like oil, grease, dust, etc. And you might consider a product that will perform well from a slip-resistant standpoint. For certain flooring, it is good to overcompensate and try using entrance mat strategies and housekeeping to keep floors clean and dry. You might also be talking about treatment interventions, which we will talk about in a minute. While some of the flooring, like unsealed brushed concrete, may have good traction when wet, it will represent significantly dangers when it's icy and should be monitored closely during cold weather. 2 claims at our sites from the slipperiness already on vinyl plank. As this gets installed more frequently, as it becomes part of the base of the design, you need to be aware of the hazards that come with it. Make sure you put signs out when mopping the floor. It's just careless and can cause serious injury if you do not. You can also apply floor treatments. Most common floor treatments are etches, waxes, and polishes, and slip-resistant products to add to wash, water, wax, and polishes and coatings. Each one has advantages and disadvantages. Chemical washes are only effective for clean water and not grease or oil contaminants. This slide speaks to the importance of a placement of towel dispensers and hand dryers after washing hands in restrooms. If you're remodeling your restrooms, discourage those hand towel dispensers from being placed where the pedestrian drops water from their hands onto the floor to access them. Ideally, keep them directly in front or near the sinks. One of the most important preventative elements is managing the housekeeping and cleaning process of your floors. Selecting the right floor cleaning chemical for the desired contaminant is critical in keeping the floors clean. You need to ensure you follow the manufacturer's instructions on concentration mix, water temperature, dwell time, and rinse. Too much cleaner will leave residue, and too little won't clean the floor the adequate way. Your floor cleaning protocol should be in writing and managed with a schedule. Having the right cleaning tools available is so important as well. Mops, buckets, rinse equipment, everything like that. Your floor cleaning method can contribute greatly to increasing the coefficient of friction on your floor and diminish the slipperiness. Placing warning signs around wet floors to warn pedestrians of potential slippery hazards is an essential and appropriate intervention. We've had 2 recent accidents because no one put out a sign. However, make sure warning signs are promptly removed when the hazard is corrected. Some of these signs can actually become tripping hazards. If they are too long, another best practice is having enough trash containers available around the area. Establish a training program for persons responsible for inspection, maintenance, and cleaning. This includes definition of cleaning requirements, cleaning procedures, safe handling, and disposal of chemicals and solutions. The importance of clean-as-you-go policies are important as well. If you see it, pick it up or clean it up. Good housekeeping is everyone's responsibility on the site. New standards we have written on slip testing of footwear, but at the moment, manufacturers of slip-resistant shoes do not do their own testing and do not follow a standard test method. Regardless, Liberty Mutual, the writers of this slide, who have done studies, show that the use of shoes marked as slip-resistant resulted in less risk of slipping. That's why maintenance staff are required to wear steel-toed boots, which usually have very good slip-resistant technology. We also encourage other management staff to select slip-resistant shoes when working in high-risk areas. As we said, it's important to have good tread material, which is softer rubber outsole, and it will conform better to the floor surface to stick better to the surface. You also want a broader contact area. So you're selecting shoes based on a broader contact area and softer rubber outsoles. As far as entrance mat goes, the following are suggested lengths and widths of entrance mats based on the amount of walking steps it takes to walk off. Some floor surfaces by design are very slippery when wet, and they include smooth glazed ceramic, porcelain, wax polished rubber, terrazzo, polished natural stone, other items like that. Mats are designed to remove water and soil from footwear, but design and function of mats is often neglected and not considered when designing a building. The mat running length recommendations are based on unpublished research, but are general guidelines that would make good sense for various weather conditions. Looking at entrance mat strategy, using various components to get the foreign debris and water off the shoes is so important. Do you not have outside mats and vestibule mats? The inside mats need to work a lot harder. Therefore, you need to be longer and clean more often. Many of our properties only have walk-off mats, so cleaning procedures should be adjusted in poor weather conditions. Wet floor signs are also the most helpful in any accident situation, but unfortunately they are not used so often. They can actually represent a trip hazard if left in place long after the floor is dry, so make sure you're removing them when the floor is completely dry. We want to empower everyone at their properties and in your influence at the properties to place these signs up and take them down whenever needed. In addition, umbrella bags at entrances are helpful, and other additional instructions to tenants and visitors can help you prevent from slips, trips, and falls from wet floors. In summary, same-level falls are a serious and growing problem. Prevention starts with the understanding causes of falls and applying a systems approach that involves everyone in the organization. This includes employees reporting incidences and close calls, as well as enforcing clean-as-you-go policies. As a result of this session, identify where your opportunities for improvements are and continue looking out for hazards. Walk your property and find the present structural risks. Take extra caution when thinking about mopping floors and cleaning entrances, especially in bad weather. Remember, not everyone is noticing these hazards, but you have the ability to do so, and you can prevent dangerous accidents from occurring. Thank you for tuning in today, and have a great day.